Don't wait for the stars to align. Reach up and rearrange them the way you want. Create your own constellation.
Distinguished guests on the dais, respected faculty of Amity School of Engineering and Technology, the students, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all today. I, Siddhant Vats, student of BTech Computer Science and Engineering,
And I, Anya Joshi, student of BTech ECE,
welcome you to the 10th International Conference on Signal Processing and Integrated Networks, SPIN 2023. The theme for this session is Security, Resilience, and Sustainability in Next-Gen Communication Network, 6G.
Following Amity tradition, we would now welcome our coveted guests with saplings. Sapling symbolizes new beginning, life, and growth. It will remind you of our association for times to come. I request Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar Pandey, General Chair of SPIN 2023, Joint Head, Amity School of Engineering and Technology, to welcome the guests. Mr. Manoj Gurnani, Chief Technology Officer and Head of Strategy India Region from Nokia India. Mr. Manish Gange, Senior Vice President and Head Research and Development, Bharti Airtel. Mr. Subrata Kumar Mitra, Vice President and Head Government and Industry Relations, Ericsson India. A big round of applause for our industry forwards, please. Mr. Sanjay Tanwar, General Manager, Government and Industry Relations, India Region from Ericsson India.
Can you please have a huge round of applause? Now, without further ado, I request Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar Pandey, General Chair of SPIN 2023, Amity School of Engineering and Technology, to give the welcome address.
Thank you, Anya and Siddhant. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all. Hope you all settled down now. See, we have the great industry leaders in front of you. And you know that your nature of the program is where the industry interaction should be frequently required. So in that pursuit, we are inviting the industry leaders for you to interact, to discuss about what all the skills, what all the things are going in the mind. So at the outset, on behalf of our Honorable Founder President, sir, on behalf of our Chancellor, sir, Vice Chancellor, Madam, and on behalf of the whole Amity family, I would like to welcome with huge round of applause to our industry leaders this morning, this afternoon. I would like to welcome Mr. Manoj Gurnani, Chief Technology Officer, Head of Strategy, India Region, Nokia. I would like to welcome Mr. Manish Genge, Head of R&D, Bharti Airtel. I would like to welcome Mr. Subrata Kumar Mitra, Head Government Industry Relations, Ericsson India. And one more guest has to join this session, but due to some family commitments, some emergency could not make up. Ms. Reshmi Nevupalli, she is the campus head of Palo Alto Network. So with huge round of applause, once again, we welcome all our industry guests this afternoon. And I suggest, rather, I will advise to all the students, those who are joining this hall, to please be interactive during the session. And for the information of our guests, MIT is a multidisciplinary, a transdisciplinary university that offering the various type of programs. And our engineering program is where we are evaluating and we are updating our curriculum and our syllabi regularly. And we are including our industry leaders in all these type of activities. Dear students, you know that the technology is evolving very fast now. If we are talking about the communication area, then we were talking about the 5G and now is the 6G. What all the changes will happen when the 6G and 5G will come to the market? You know that the fourth industrial revolution, the foundation of the fourth industrial revolution was the internet. And internet without infrastructure, without the speed, have no sense. And we have realized the power of internet during our last 2 years when the pandemic has struck the whole world. Due to this internet and the communication mediums, we had not stopped for a single day, a single moment. And now to add into it, how the 3G, how the 5G and how the 3G can add use into it. What all the skill sets will be required? What all the upskilling, reskilling will be required for your whole career span? So in front of you, leaders from the industry, those who want to share their experiences, their knowledge among you. It's up to you to know how you are taking advantage of you. We had the industry sessions, 2 sessions yesterday and an important today. And bringing such type of people is very, very difficult. They have their own engagements. Time and they have come to be among with you to share all the knowledge this afternoon. So once again, I would welcome all leaders.
We are fortunate to have amongst us Mr. Manoj Gurnani, Chief Technology Officer and Head of Strategy, India Region, Nokia. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce him to the audience. Mr. Manoj Gurnani is a business technology leader with more than 27 years of experience in MNCs like Nokia, Ericsson, Hughes, Siemens, Reliance, Corient, and RFS. He is currently the CTO and Head Strategy India for Nokia India, looking after technology, regulatory, and future vision narratives for Nokia. BE and MBA by qualification, Mr. Manoj is regarded as a leader who builds trust, thinks strategically, and acts ethically. Besides building up businesses from scratch, he has spearheaded several USD multi-million network supply and managed services, outsourcing deals in Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea, Reliance Jio, and the government sector. He also took assignments like setting up Corient India, a spin-off of Nokia's optical business unit, right from scratch, and RFS, radio frequency systems, and antenna company of Nokia, to propel RFS into growth trajectory by securing large deals in antenna and cable solutions. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah, distinguished professors, teachers, my dear friends, Saurabh, Manish, and Sanjay. So, sorry, Subrata. And my dear students, good afternoon. I think not long back, almost 22 years back, I actually did a small course from MIT. So in that capacity, I'm actually also like you, one of the students, and I continue to be one, because this is the technology world. You keep learning day on day. I actually did a course on CDMA technology, which was extremely new in those days. And MIT actually had a tie-up with Qualcomm University, if I remember, right? So I was made to do all the grinding, made to do the Walsh codes and everything. And I can tell you, in the first 3 to 4 days, I was shit scared. And, the technology, the complexity, it overwhelmed me. But then one thing which I really realized was that technology should not be seen in isolation. It is there for you. It has to simplify the world. And as you see, most of the generation of technologies, as they have progressed, I think they have tried to do two simple things. Increase the user friendliness, right? Enhance the simplification, right? And that's what the technology is supposed to bring. We are actually very fortunate. I mean, if you talk about India, India is already witnessing 4 generations of technologies that are coexisting today, right? So you'll be surprised to know that out of 1.1 billion subscribers, which India has, the wireless subscribers, almost 300 million subscribers are still on 2G, right? So this is one region, this is one country in the world which has 2G, which has got 3G still, 4G and 5G, and we are already talking about 6G, right? I mean, you all saw the 6G vision document, which was actually released by the Honorable Prime Minister a couple of days back. 2G, if you remember, I think it was mainly to do with voice, messaging. Then came 3G, which was mobile internet. I think one common thing between 2G and 3G was that it was more to do with person-to-person or human-to-human interaction, right? And then really came 4G, which was more about mobile broadband. And I think it really brought a big transformational change. It started the digitization initiatives. And India as a country, you would have witnessed, in terms of digitalization adoption, is one of the most advanced countries in the world. Right? I mean, you have seen how we tackled COVID. You have seen how we do the UPI transactions. You'll be surprised to know the amount of UPI transaction which India does today. So last year we did how many? Around 80 billion transactions, right? I mean, so the beauty of our country is that we adopt the technology very quickly, right? And like I said in the beginning, it's very important, therefore, that each technology also ensures, that users are able to actually use it. They should be able to add value to the business. It should actually add simplifications to their lives. That's what the technology is supposed to do, in short. We are already talking about 5G going forward. 5G is going to be, so what does 5G really bring? So 5G really brings on table a very new aspect. So far from 2G to 4G, it has been purely telecommunication. But once you talk about 5G, it starts to introduce the other industries also, with it. So we are talking about automobiles, we are talking about healthcare, we are talking about, other industry verticals also. So 5G is not a telecom alone, it's the other industry ecosystem also, which it is trying to bring along. So it's trying to make the world more digital in that sense. You would have already seen the impact which 5G, or for example, I think India as a country in another 5 years is aspiring to be a $1 trillion economy, and 5G will have a massive role to play. We did our own internal estimations and we figured out that 5G is going to contribute almost 50% in this digitization. So out of 1 trillion, almost half of it will be contributed by 5G alone. So that's the impact. And that impact is coming because of the fact that, it is more widespread. It is across the verticals, be it factory automation, so on and so forth. In Nokia, along with Bell Labs, which is our research organization, we actually did a very comprehensive studies. And we tried to figure out that, what is the impact it has on the B2B, right? What's the impact it will have? So we classified the industries into three clear-cut verticals. So category A was the digitally mature industries, right? Companies like finance, banking, insurance, which have actually seen a reasonable amount of digitalization already happening, right? And we actually figured out that in these industries, we already have a fairly good degree of digitalization already there today, almost to the tune of 60%. And by the year 2030, the 60% will be coming to as high as 85%, right? So this is a digitally mature category which we talk about. And then we also figured out that what would be the gains in these verticals, right? And these gains could be measured in terms of the safety benefits, it could be productivity benefits, the efficiency benefits. And we estimated that the SPE gains, the gains which I just mentioned, would be to the tune of 5x, right? So you can just imagine the amount of impact 5G is going to have on the world. The second category was industries like manufacturing, healthcare, and we classified these industries to be physically leading industries, right? So you'll start to see more operational technologies like the automation, the robotics, and we calculated that today we are at around 15% or thereabouts in terms of the degree of digitalization, and therefore there is a huge potential going forward. The gains in these industries, therefore, is estimated to be almost 12 times, right? So again, gains in terms of safety, productivity, efficiencies, everything. And then comes the third category, which is the digital lagging category, which would mean verticals like agriculture, right, which are very fragmented. I mean, if you talk about India, India's got 85% of the farmers who are marginal farmers, right? And it's a very, very fragmented, it's a very unstructured kind of a vertical. That's going to take time, right? The digitization adoption is going to take time. It's by nature, it's very well clear. So there, the degree of digitization is very, very minuscule, hardly 3%. And there, in another 10 years, there will be no big change, but we still feel that around 15 to 20% digitization will still happen. But the gains will be to the tune of 6x. Now, why I'm trying to share all this data is to again underline the fact that 5G as a technology is not a telecom technology, but it's something beyond that. And you will be, again, I'm sure, in your minds, you would be asking that why in the world are we already talking about 6G? What's the need, right? And the need is for the following reasons. The world is becoming complex, right? I mean, there are other aspects which are also emerging. So it's understood that whenever there is a generation shift, the focus of the network changes. It's understood, right? The network is supposed to bring in more capacities, more efficiencies, all that is given. But then there are several other aspects which are also emerging. These aspects could be related to, say, ESG or the environment or the sustainability aspects. It could be related to security, right? I mean, that's another aspect which we have to talk about. And when there is a new technology being thought of, all these use cases and all these requirements as the technology pillars have to be thought of. And that is what I think 6G is supposed to bring. That's one reason why 6G actually has to be thought of in future. That's number one. The second thing is the astronomical traffic growth, which we are witnessing, right? So India is doing something like, we as consumer consume almost 20 GB per data. And then you start to include the traffic requirement, which will skyrocket because of all the B2B traffic, right? With all this, it basically means that my future network has to be something which will be able to cater to this humongous amount of traffic. And when you have such a big traffic growth, and then you have such a big densification of the base stations which are sprawling all across the world, the ESG aspect, therefore, is extremely important, right? I mean, is the energy consumption of my network within the sufficient limits? Is it actually, complying to all the environment regulations? Is it actually doing its job in terms of reducing the carbon footprint? All these questions, therefore, become very, very relevant and have to be addressed. And it's because of these reasons that 6G actually is supposed to cater to all these very, very important aspects. The third topic which I would like to talk about in general would be the security, right? Now, why is security so important and being talked of? I mean, security is not new. I mean, we have been into IT industry for a while. But the thing is, because of such a big growth of data, because of big data, because of the fact that now we are not talking about human to human communication, but we are talking also about the Internet of Things. So huge amount of devices also getting connected. There is so much of sophistication and therefore the landscape of all the attacks, cyber attacks, has really become very, very vast. And therefore, the traditional security mechanisms, they will be of no use. So we have to think ahead of the curve. The security, therefore, today has to be using AI ML. It has to be much more widespread. It has to be much more process oriented. And when we talk about the security requirements, we don't only have to talk in terms of the products. The products, of course, have to be designed keeping into view the DFS or the design for security standards. But we also have to talk about the people, the processes. So it's these all three aspects which have to be taken in totality and think about, how security is to be addressed going forward. The future network, therefore, will be able to also cater to the ESG aspects, which I mentioned, the security aspects, which I mentioned, and I'm assuming that going forward, all the technology advancements, in terms of the spectral efficiencies and more capabilities, that will come. I mean, that's understood. But it's the ESG and the security aspects which will be very, very relevant going forward. So I think that's what I had to say. I mean, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer that. At the end, yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights on the subject. We also have with us Mr. Manish Kange, Senior Vice President and Head R&D, Bharti Airtel. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce him. Mr. Manish Kange is responsible for bringing disruptive technologies and products to Airtel's networks. He is driving initiatives around open network and standardization within Airtel. Mr. Manish is also spearheading consumer and B2B device development program at Airtel. In his previous roles at Reliance Jio, Tejas Networks, and Synopsys, he led technology development, product engineering, business development, sales and supply chain operations. He co-founded Elena Networks, a startup to address enterprise and branch office network infrastructure, connectivity, and management needs. He is MTech in solid-state electronics from IIT Roorkee and graduate in electronics and telecommunication engineering from SGS ITS Indore. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Okay. Where are the slides? People can see the slides? All right, okay. Good afternoon. I just want to make sure that you guys are awake, okay? I hope you had good lunch. Okay, to wake you guys up, I have another trick. And I'll use your trick of the professors, okay? Here is a quiz, surprise quiz. You guys up for it? Wonderful. Please tell me what is the full form of ESG? You just heard Manoj talk about it. Anybody? Nobody. Oh boy, I have a tough job at hand. Okay. ESG stands for environmental, societal, and governance. Okay. 3 pillars on which the industrial revolution has to, or evolution has to continue to go on, right? We are a developing economy. We have to make sure that we utilize the resources very responsibly. now whatever is left off, right? We have been consuming and we have been consuming indiscriminately. So it's extremely important that we leave something for our future generations. And everything that we're talking about, the developments, the technology, and I'll talk about 5G, 6G, you will hear some jargons, and I'll give you a lot of technology words and all that. But the crux, the underlying assumption of all of this is the human or the society's development. But at what cost, right? And that's been a key debate in the industry nowadays, right? Now it's, we can always look back and say, yeah, now that India is becoming a developed country, moving towards being developed, we're now all talking about putting up all these new restrictions on do not use too much of energy, reduce your carbon footprint. Whereas when the developed world, the Western world basically was developing, they didn't have any of these constraints, right? But, if you really look at Earth as the limited resource, we really have to take care of it, right? And therefore, ESG is at the center of every conversation. ESG is the center of every investment that nowadays new companies make into any company, right? For example, if a company comes and makes an investment in, say, Bharti Airtel, they actually look as to what is our ESG policy looks like, how well we will utilize the resources, how we will save, how will we make sure that our carbon footprints are lower. This is important. This is extremely critical. And the reason that I'm saying this is because you guys will take this torch and move forward. In every development, every technology that you would basically work on, this would be one key criteria, one key assumption that you will have to make in your designs, in your implementations. So that's how I wanted to start. I didn't want to start it like this, but I thought, I wanted to wake up the audience to understand the importance of this topic that Manoj touched upon. Let me go to the favorite topic everybody has since last 2 days. Okay. You guys read newspapers, so I'm sure you know that Prime Minister released 6G vision document. How many of you knew? Please raise your hands. Looks like not a lot of people read newspapers, right? Do you? Okay. Prime Minister released a document, vision document, which outlines what the 6G should be. Okay. So first of all, good news is 6G is not here. We don't have the 6G. We will not have anytime soon. 6G is 10 years away. Let me go to my next slide. Okay. 6G is 2030. We are in 2023. How many of you are 5G enabled phones? How many of you have? Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. It gives me hope that we will soon start to fill up our networks. Okay. I was like in a similar gathering few weeks back, 4 or 5 weeks back. And I asked the same question, and you wouldn't believe it. There were much fewer people who raised their hands, right? Now it has to do with the demography of the place, but I'm glad that people are adopting. And look, I want this to be interactive. I hope you don't mind, Professor, that I really want to understand, right? Why have you bought a 5G phone? Does anybody have any answer? Why do you buy a 5G phone? Your hope is that you'll get a lot more speed, right?
Nowadays, smartphone is just like a computer, okay? So we try to, many of our jobs we want to do through mobile, even if we are traveling abroad or on the way, okay? So we want to, that is basically, just like office.
Right.
We try to manage most of things right away. by using the.
That's a great reason, you know, and yeah.
And maybe 6G will look up the many possibilities.
it would, yes,
that is
sure.
there.
sure.
But still, lots of things to go to hardware, software, and also many on the processing, and also many on the government sides.
Sure.
Yeah, my.
So we'll go to 6G later, but right now on the, yeah,
I expect.
yeah. On- yeah, anybody else wants to talk, right? I mean,
Anyone
look,
wants,
I didn't want this to become a monologue from me to you, okay? I really want to learn from you guys as well, as much as you want to learn from me. So if anybody else has any thoughts as to why did you need a 5G handset? Or in general, why do you even need 5G? I mean, do you have? Yeah, if anybody has got any ideas, please feel free to speak. There are no points, there is no theory, there is no marks or anything, right? So no sessionals, nothing. No attendance.
So for better speeds,
Better speeds,
for good gaming performance,
gaming performance. Wonderful. That's
the less ping and all.
wonderful. Thank you. So look, Manoj talked about that 4th generation networks, the network that is being there, for last, 5-7 years in the hands of every consumer. We have been feeling the need, right? We have been feeling the constraint that, yeah, this is not good enough. This is not good enough for something that you want to do, right? For example, gaming. You want to play a very high resolution game, real time, I used to take example of PUBG. Maybe I am a little bit older. So PUBG, you need to fire a bullet and bullet has to reach in time before the other guy's bullet comes and hits you, right? You needed that. Well, that was not speed, by the way, okay? So I had to be politically correct, technically correct. It was latency, right? That was what we were looking for. But there is been an unfulfilled need of 4G that 5G has to come and fulfill, right? India has to feel the pinch, has to feel the need a lot more for 5G than the rest of the world. I'll explain you why. We are a populous country. We are 1.3, 1.4 billion people. Our networks are choked, and I have no shame in saying this, right? We are the ones who build these networks, but our networks are choked. They're choked and we can't do much, right? We can't do much in the sense that I can't throw anything else than what we already have put in to ease up the pain. Now I'll tell you what the pain is, right? If you are in India, your average speeds on your 4G phones does not go beyond 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 Mbps, right? If you were in US or in Europe, the same 4G phone will give you 30 to 40 Mbps speeds, right? And you will do much more with those than you could do it in India, right? So India is feeling the pinch that there is an unfulfilled promise of 4G. Now, why we have, constraint on not being able to give you better has to do with the technology. It has to do with the spectrum. It has to do with the spectrum that is available for 4G rollouts. I'm assuming all of you guys are ENC and computer science, so I will not shy away from using some of the jargon, okay? And if you don't like it, please raise a hand and say, I don't understand, please explain. So the spectrum that is available on 4G has been limited in India. And we cannot add more bandwidth, more users, unless we have more spectrum. What 5G has done is has brought in a lot more spectrum into the play. And therefore, we can provide you a lot more density of connections, and we can give you a lot more better speeds. And there's one other aspect of 5G, it's on the latency, and we'll talk about it when I go to my next slide, right? But you really see the evolution that Manoj also talked about, 1G to 2G to 3G to 4G to 5G, and eventually we'll go to 6G, and I'll talk about 6G a little bit later. But today, here and now, we are rolling out 5G very aggressively. You keep hearing in the newspaper, you keep hearing the ads which are talking about 5G will change your lives. But it's not going to change your life by giving you high speeds alone, right? It's going to change your life because it gives a lot more capability. You know, the problem of why 5G was not getting launched in India for all these years, right? You should know that the first set of 5G networks globally got launched in 2018. We are launched in 2022, right? Which is 4 years later. The reason it was not getting launched is that we, as you know, the service providers and other tech stakeholders in the ecosystem, were waiting for the right use cases to arrive for 5G. What does the right use case mean, right? I had heard one use case is gaming, right? You really want to play the game on your phone and it has to give you the right speed and latency to be able to play. What else? What else can you think? I mean, you get 100 Mbps on your phone. What will you do? You will torrent a movie. It will take 10 seconds. It will get done. You will do 100 such movies if you had all of this bandwidth available. Then what? Then what? What else? What else can you do? Have you? Yes. Virtual reality. Yes. Okay, great. Fantastic. Okay, virtual reality, you know what it is? If I really simplify virtual reality in terms of what it translates into the network capability, right? Is essentially higher speed and lower latency. What you want to do is that you want to be part of the environment. So there is a certain environmental factors that you would extract out of the scene and then, you know, superimpose yourself into that, you know, environment. And that requires a lot of, you know, speed and the latency. What else? This, by the way, virtual reality has been in existence since 4G times. Okay. People have tried, people have experimented, and you don't need 4G and 5G. Virtual reality you can do on a fiber network even today, right? So technologically, there is nothing new when it comes to virtual reality. What else? Work from home. Okay, good. Work from home. Yes, that is basically broadband is what you're looking for. You want to make sure that you are in a meeting, in a conference call, and both ways, you know, speaker and listener are able to listen and speak to each other without lag, without, you know, echoes, without freezing of the pictures and all that. Perfect. Good use case. Could you not do it with fiber? Fiber to the home? You could do that, right? You could do it even today. But why do you need 5G?
The real-time robots.
Real-time?
Robots.
Yes. Okay. That's a good thing, but what will you use it for?
Anything, boat shopping and anything, any robots that cannot be operated in fiber in the public places.
Okay. I'm looking for more relatable experience, right? And what else can you do with 5G, right? I mean, I'm asking you all these questions just to emphasize one point, okay? And that point is that we do not have enough use cases for 5G. We don't know what to do with so much of bandwidth. We don't know what to do with that low latency. We do know. Conceptually, we do know, by the way, okay? In the industry, what the low latency will do for you, things like that. But have we built anything that you can profitably run as a business for a long term? The answer is no. So really, I'm putting this problem statement in front of you guys to say the 5G is here. The 5G network will be rolled out irrespective of what I'm saying here right now, right? But we really need you guys to come, innovate, build something new, something that utilizes the capability of the 5G. That would be the most important aspect that you should start to look, right? As you're coming out of your colleges, looking for a new job or entrepreneurship, please think about it. What can you do with this technology? And since we have not used this technology fully, is why I find it very discomforting to talk about 6G. Technologically, I can talk, but we are not used 5G. The billions of dollars of investment is going into 5G. We're not started to exploit that. Now we're talking 6G. Okay, it's good to talk. I'll tell you why we should talk 6G. And in this platform, why should I talk 6G? 6G, I need to talk for the simple reason that I'll go to the last slide. Okay, I don't know how many of you can read this slide, okay? I'm sorry about the small fonts. This is a slide that is telling what are the enabling technologies that need to come around for 6G network to get realized. Okay, now what is a 6G network? We're all talking about saying that there are a lot of drivers, sustainability, highly dense deployment, interference, cancellation, and whatnot, right? To make sure that 6G speeds of the kinds that we are talking about 1 terabit on your phone. That's the kind of speeds we're talking in 6G. We're talking about low latencies of sub-millisecond, okay? Not 1 millisecond. We're talking sub-millisecond level latencies. We are looking at accurate positioning, part of the 6G technology. Accurate positioning means, sure. Yeah, I get I had to get off. 6G requires positioning, right? A very accurate positioning means down to the centimeter level accuracy. All of this requires a lot of new technologies to be developed. So here we are. I'm asking you to look at these enabling technologies. They are at their conceptual levels, at their infancy level. There are some publications around there in the academia. We're really looking at academia to see if we can pick up this, build some deep research in this, build some deep technology, intellectual property patents, which you can go standardize and build commercial products out of it. And therefore, 6G is important to talk today. It will come 10 years from now, but that's how long it will take for you to pick up this technology and start to research and build something useful out of it. I could talk more. I would love to talk more, but I want to give chance to my fellow speakers also. So we will talk more when we get a chance. I'll be happy to come here again to have a exclusive chat with you guys alone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for enlightening us, sir. We are fortunate to have with us Mr. Subrata Kumar Mitra, Vice President and Head Government and Industry Relations, Ericsson India. And I would like to take this opportunity to introduce sir to this august gathering. Mr. Mitra is the Vice President and Head of Government and Industry Relations for Ericsson India. He is a world leader in providing information and communication technology to telecom service providers. He currently oversees government relations and public affairs for Ericsson India, leading a team for the company's public policy agenda and regulatory engagement on a range of priorities. He joined Ericsson in 2018 and has been working in the ICT industry since 2001. In his present role, he partners with ministries, departments, regulators, think tanks, academia, industry, and trade associations to help the government formulate policies for increasing digital communication in India. Prior to Ericsson, he has worked with Oracle, IBM, IFS, and Huawei. Mr. Mitra holds a postgraduate diploma in management from MDI Gurgaon and a bachelor's degree from Osmania University. He has passed the graduate certification course in public policy with distinction from the Takshashila Institution. Over to you, sir.
How much time I have? 10 minutes? Good, thank you. Good afternoon. It's a wonderful opportunity to come back to the Institute. This always gives a tremendous pleasure and a nostalgia of what institutions like Amity or any institution can do to an individual. And it will be fair to say if what either me, Manoj, or others are here doing is partially because what the institutions did to us. And I'm completely confident in a decade or two, many of you will be on this side of the podium, possibly talking 8G or other generations forward. Now, my friends before me spoke on the technology, and I must admit, after that, it becomes indeed a challenge to find what they have left unsaid for me to carry on from there. But if I may do a small poll in this audience, it will be fair to assume barring the first couple of rows, most of you are possibly born after 2000. Is my guess right? So most of you have not seen the India of the landline era. Like I have an 8-year-old at home, she doesn't know what a landline looks like. She doesn't, for most of them, if you go and talk to kids who are today age 10 or even 12, the phone is used like this. They don't use it like this. It's a phenomenal change of what humans have used the way phones for the last 100 years. And believe me, the way at the pace which technology revolution is happening, the evolution is happening, the kinds of technology that you will be working on once you step out of the institute will force the fundamental shift in the way how humans consume data and technology. I think it's a testament to India that today we consume almost 23, 24 GB of data a month. And I'm fully confident that once the IPL season begins, that numbers will be interesting to look out for. And I must indeed compliment not just you, but your parents, that all of you, most of you have got a 5G phone. As someone from the telecom industry, it's extremely heartening. I hope that you are enjoying the speeds and the capacity and the experience that 5G is offering. And I think some of the points what were alluded before, that the kind of constraints that we had as a network in 4G, you will see that significantly relaxed in 5G in terms of your experience and all. So for those of you who are serious gamers, who prefer to play multi-location, multiplayer gaming with the kind of experience, I can assure you 5G will altogether give you a different experience. Now, I was asked to speak something on what is the impact of that on the industry and the other sectors of the economy. What we are seeing worldwide is that there is a transition which is happening in the industry, which is called Industry 4.0. Most of you are aware of. It fundamentally means, while there are multiple definitions of it, the way I look at it is that if you are, say, an auto company, you're either an Indian auto company or a Japanese auto company or a German, and if you have to set up today a new factory, and the new equipment, the robots, the machine, the plants that you're going to buy, they are all going to be Industry 4.0 enabled. You're not going to buy an equipment or a machine which is not Industry 4.0. What Industry 4.0 basically does is it connects all your equipments in your factory on the shop floor. It will connect your suppliers and it will go all the way up to your consumer. So today, for example, if you take today for any automobile in India, they have a SIM card in the car. It captures your driving behavior. So if you happen to drive your parents' car in a rash manner, do note that the driving behavior will spoil that of your parent and not yours. Because if you know, in the financial industry, you have something called a credit behavior. We all have a CIBIL record, right? How is your credit pattern? Have you been following as far as returning back the dues are concerned? Similarly, today, auto companies exactly know what is your driving behavior. Going forward, the same data will be used by the insurance company to decide what should be the insurance policy given to you. So today, for example, the person on the right of you or the left of you, if they are good, cautious driver and you are a rash driver, from an insurance policy, there is no discrimination because all of us end up paying the same insurance premium for the car. But if you go to the health insurance, they ask you to go for a medical test. And depending on what the diagnosis is, your insurance policy premium changes. So unfortunately, those who smoke, they pay higher insurance premium. But for a driving insurance, if you drive rashly, there is no penalty for that. But believe me, it's a matter of time before the insurance companies will pull the data from the auto company, which is getting captured in your car, and it will tell you, are you a rash driver? Do you accelerate and decelerate rashly and so on. And basis that, do you apply brakes very frequently? Basis that they will decide what is your risk assessment of an accident, and then they will do. Just a small example of how technology is going to pervade in your life, and that's going to go. If I extend on to the manufacturing, and if you go, for example, today on the distribution side of it, you will find automated guided vehicles is almost common now on the shop floor. They take goods from one shop, one station in the shop floor to the other station. It's common. Second, we are seeing huge deployments of robots, which are all Industry 4.0 enabled to do manufacturing inside the facilities. If you go today into aircraft engine manufacturing, where primarily the blades are made, earlier what used to happen was you used to make the entire blade. For those who know, if you have seen an aircraft engine, it has multiple blades, right? What used to happen earlier was you used to manufacture the entire blade from very expensive alloys. Then the blade used to go for quality testing. And most of the time, almost 30% used to get rejected because it's extremely stringent testing. So what happens was you had a loss of manufacturing, your material got consumed, and that. Today, what happens is at the point of manufacturing of the blade, you have high-speed cameras with sensors all working on Industry 4.0 to capture whether the blade is exactly as per the specification. And if it is not, the manufacturing process stops then and there, and you do a corrective measure. So imagine if you are in such an advanced industry where there is so much of pressure to come up with a quality product at a price point, these technologies are making the change. One. Second, if you're a large pipeline, say an oil pipeline company or a gas pipeline company, or you're a grid, typically companies like Power Grids and other who have thousands of kilometers of what we call as linear assets. In that case, if you have to do a surveillance, what today happens is that you send people on the ground. If it is a gas pipeline or an oil pipeline, you have to put multiple sensors. Today, what industries are exploring is actually to use drones to do this very surveillance, to come back and say what is, if there is any corrective measures to be taken, so on and so forth. One more example. If you are in a large warehousing kind of business, doesn't matter whether it is an e-commerce setup or a regular warehouse, or if you are a manufacturing warehouse, you do something called a cycle count, or you actually do the physical inventory count. And especially what happens is when you have to do that count at the end of the year, because you have to report in the books what is your work in progress or your inventory, because you account for it. It's a huge manual exercise because you have your ERP systems, say like SAPs or Oracles of the world, which will tell you what is the inventory in the system. Then you will ask the employees will actually go and take stock in the warehouse to see whether the physical inventory is there. And any mismatch of that has to be reported, because otherwise it is misrepresentation of facts in the account books, which is illegal. But today what is possible is that, and this is an extremely cumbersome activity which incurs a lot of effort and time. But today what we are doing is that you have the drones which are in the warehouse. They start scheduled in the night when there is no operation in the warehouse, it is pitch dark. The drone flies in its pre-scheduled path, take the entire inventory of it and reports. All that in a span of less than 10 minutes. What used to take earlier 20 days is today possible to do in 10 minutes. And I will pause here. I think I am at the end of my time. But just to give you an idea that this transformation that is happening is going to happen in all sectors. And here I am extremely confident and optimistic that students like you are going to make that fundamental difference in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, can we please have Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar Pandey General Chair, Spin 2023, Joint Head, Amity School of Engineering and Technology, and the Senior Amity Leadership Team to present the mementos to our esteemed guests as a token of our appreciation.
Mr. Manoj Gurnani, Chief Technology Officer and Head of Strategy India Region from Nokia India. Mr. Manish Gange, Senior Vice President and Head Research and Development, Bharti Airtel. Students are requested to spend the background of the audience. All the students are requested to participate for a while, please. Volunteers are requested to take care of the background of the audience. We will request all the volunteers to take on the action, please. Forwards are already. Mr. Subrata Kumar Mitra, Vice President and Head Government and Industrial Relations, Ericsson India. Mr. Sanjay Tanwar, General Manager, Government and Industrial Relations, India, from Ericsson India.
Now, can you please have Ms. Gopadas Gupta, General Manager, Corporate Resource Center, Amity School of Engineering and Technology, to extend the vote of thanks to our distinguished guests.
Students are so please maintain the same decorum for another 2 minutes. So here's proposing a vote of thanks. So at the outset, I, on behalf of the organizing team, would like to thank our respected founder president, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, respected Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan, and our dynamic Vice Chancellor, Dr. Valvinder Shukla, for providing this platform to the students and to us to interact with the industry stalwarts. Sincere thanks to the panel members, Mr. Manoj Gurnani, Chief Technology Officer and Head Strategy for India Region from Nokia India, Mr. Manish Gange, Senior Vice President and Head from R&D from Bharti Airtel, Mr. Subrata Kumar Mitra, Vice President and Head Government and Industrial Relations from Ericsson India, and Mr. Sanjay Tanwar, General Manager Industrial Relations from Ericsson India. Thanks to you all for sparing your precious time from your busy schedule, traveling all the way from Gurgaon to be here with us today to participate in the forum. Thoughts that you have shared with the audience, I'm sure the students have had very important takeaways from today's session. And students, believe you me, some of you will be joining either Nokia or Bharti Airtel and Ericsson, but even after you join, you may not have the opportunity to meet these industry stalwarts that you have met today. So such interaction with leaders like you immensely encourages our students. Special and my very affectionate thanks to the MCs. You have really conducted the session wonderfully, to our student coordinators, our talented music man, Jay Surya, for working behind the scene, and for all the student coordinators. Very big and special thanks to all of you. Sincere thanks to our joint head, Dr. M.K. Pandey, for his constant guidance, and sincere thanks to Dr. J.K. Rai, Head of the Department of ECE, and Mr. Anil Shukla for listening to my last minute request and helping us. Also, thanks to the senior faculty members for their support. Many thanks to the CRC team, Ms. Priyanka, Mr. Alok, Mr. Anju, and Dr. Madhuri for being constant support in everything. Hugely thank our admin team for helping us to put the event together. And of course, thanks to you all students for being a wonderful audience. So until the next time, thank you.
I would now request our coveted guests to kindly sit in the audience as we will now begin with the valedictory session. And during the valedictory session, the Amity management team will be conferring the Leadership Awards of Excellence. Thank you.